it's a fantastic idea what you're doing. I think it's hard for people to get their head around it right away. I was wondering if you could walk us through kind of the basics or some of the questions you get asked normally when people are like, "What the hell is entrepreneur first?"
So I guess kind of if you step right back and you say, you imagine yourself as a computer scientist or an engineer, someone who really loves tech, and you may be 21 years old, you're a great university, or maybe you don't study those subjects, but you're a self-taught hacker and you just love building stuff. You get to that kind of point where your parents are starting to say, right, so what's next? When are you going to start, kind of actually getting a job? And you look at your options. And the way, kind of I think it has been in the UK over a long period of time really is that, the banks loom very large in that. The banks are very aggressive recruiters on university campuses. There's obviously some big corporates, professional services is huge. But actually, like if you want to build stuff, like really build products that solve real problems, that kind of use cutting edge tech, what do you do? And that's kind of the question that EF wants to be the answer to. So if you imagine this guy or girl, sadly, maybe we'll talk about this, it's mainly guys right now, kind of looking at their options. One option is to try and start their own thing. But if they're going to start their own thing, they need a team. And, I think that's pretty much universally accepted. No one's going to invest in people that don't have teams. But what if you, in your final year at uni, you're about to graduate and you don't have that team already? Like, no one's going to fund you to find a team. And so kind of that's not an option for you actually, if you haven't already got that person. Or you do have that person, but you recognize that you don't have the big idea that could really be worth your time. So what do you do? Again, you kind of don't have that option, so you pretty much have to go join a big company.
Because you would need an idea to get into a Wera or something.
Right, exactly, okay. Yeah. And like Seacamp and Wera and doing great stuff, but they're not going to take the kind of people I'm talking about. That's not their model. So what EF wants to say is if you are actually truly brilliant, truly exceptional, you want to build stuff, but you maybe don't know what yet or with whom, EF is your answer. You can kind of think of it as the place where we think the top tech talent in the country comes to hang out to build stuff when they graduate.
And so do you recruit them yourselves then?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a huge part of what we do is the recruitment. And
so for every position, how many guys do you touch?
I mean, like tons, to be honest.
Right.
When we started this in 2011, we had no money. Frankly, we'd never done it before. We had no idea whether it was possible to build teams. We had no brand, no track record. And even then, we had like 450 applicants in our first year. We were like, whoa, wow. This is crazy. This is like really tapping into something on campus that people are feeling. This year, I think we had like 700. So we're talking like serious numbers of applicants per place.
Where did you get this idea from? I mean, you were at McKinsey before and did some other things, but like, where does this come to you in your head that we're going to start a stage earlier than everyone else?
It's one of those things that in a way was kind of like over-determined. There were so many things that in retrospect kind of pushed us here. So I guess one is like tech is what I've always cared about. And yet when I was reviewing what I was going to do when I left university, when I left grad school, I was like, well, you have to go get a serious job, right? Because otherwise no one's going to take you seriously. So I'm going to go somewhere very serious and I'm going to go to McKinsey. And that kind of, in retrospect, seems strange. And then when I was at McKinsey, I think in my class of analysts, like 9 of us are now in tech, which kind of seems strange, right? Why are these people, and like, some of them wildly successful, like the founders of Go Cardless were at McKinsey with us, and they're doing exceptionally well right now. Like why are these people going to McKinsey first? Is it because, maybe it would be totally legit if it was that afterwards they're like, yeah, everything I learned at McKinsey I applied to my startup. But honestly, you go talk to us and they're like, kind of had to spend the first year unlearning most of what I learned at McKinsey. So it's not that McKinsey is the training ground for tech people. It's that people feel they have to do this. So like that was the other kind of thing just going away in Alice and my heads was like, well, if McKinsey isn't what these people should do before they start their company, what should that be?
And McKinsey has the cash and the glamour. Is that why people go there?
Yeah, and like, frankly, I mean, full disclosure, I actually had a great time there. It was good in lots of ways. And, the best reason to go there is if you have no idea what you want to do.
Is it like the show House of Lies? Have you seen that show?
I've not seen that, so I wouldn't like to comment.
Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
No, I mean, by and large, it's it's a lot of smart people doing interesting work, real problems. But and I think they still sponsor us. But they would say it's not execution by and large. It's not implementation, and it's certainly not kind of building stuff from the ground up.
It's advisory and it's pure.
Yeah, and for big companies, right?
Yeah.
But what I think you really learn from sort of that type of role is just an incredible work ethic.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, well, that's certainly true.
And like
that's
hitting deadlines and just like dealing with intense
Yeah.
stress of getting projects done in time and 100-hour weeks. And
Yeah.
I think those are the lessons that really help you out when you.
And that's a really good point, actually. Is one of the things we did want to do when stepping back and creating EF was like, well, what are the bits that actually, McKinsey or wherever does prepare you for? And a lot of the program design is to try and get people into the mindset of deadlines and of kind of really hard work, I suppose. So there were a few things that kind of bubbling away make us think, oh, there's a room for this. And then I guess we kind of got lucky in that it was just timing that. This was August 2011. It was about the time that all the kind of tech city stuff was really bubbling up, and kind of actually probably the one time that startups have really got inside McKinsey were quite involved in that piece of kind of work for the government, I guess, and so it just was suddenly kind of staring us in the face that there was this opportunity as